Hello all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us for this presentation for Power Platform and Dynamics 365 technical update briefing for January 2022. Hope everybody had a good start to the new year. This session is hosted by four of us, myself, Narun Sampath, Senior Customer Engineer for Power Platform and Dynamics 365. I'll be the moderator for the session for the Dynamics 365 customer engagement apps, which means I'll also be answering the questions on the chat. Ryan Anderson, also Senior Customer Engineer for Power Platform and Dynamics 365, will be doing the actual presentation and doing most of the talking. Jason, over to you.
Maybe I can take the first one. So yeah, hello everybody. My name is Kenneth Kildegard, and I'm also customer engineer with the finance and operation app, and I'll be today's presenter. And Jason Larsen, who's also senior customer engineer, he will be the moderator for the F&O finance and operation content.
Hey everybody, yep, my name is Jason Larsen. Sorry about that. I couldn't find the mute button quick enough and then it was slowed on mute.
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey Ryan, over to you.
All right, yeah, thanks everyone. So let's jump into some content here. And as usual, we'll start out with our featured news. The first topic we wanted to mention were our on-demand events and some upcoming events that we have in the pipeline. I believe the three that we have listed here are all on demand. The first one is a good video you can find on YouTube. The Powerful Devs Conference. So this was specifically for developers in the Power Platform space. You can find a good video there that goes through some great topics, some of the pro dev influencers, Microsoft Cloud advocates, and then some other community leaders have some presentations there. The Business Application Summit was held previously, and all those sessions are available on demand as well. So go out and take a look at that. That's specific to Biz Apps. A lot of good things there around Dynamics 365 and Power Platform. And then finally, the Microsoft Ignite on demand. This obviously is multiple technologies there, so not just Biz Apps, but a lot of good things there around all the different Microsoft technologies. So all those on-demand sessions are available as well. We also wanted to point out some of the deprecations that are coming in 2022. This slide has a couple of links there where you can go for more information on the deprecations. There's a good article that goes through all of these and gives great explanations. A few that we wanted to point out here this time around, there are some coming in February, so next month. The support for viewing and managing application users in a legacy web client is deprecated, so that's going to get moved over to the Power Platform Admin Center. So you'll want to be aware of that if you're an admin on the application and working with users. And then also support for the Microsoft 365 groups and Yammer in Dynamics 365 is being deprecated. So if you're using any of those things, make sure to be aware of that. In April, there's a couple other ones. The organization service proxy authentication type is deprecated and will be shut down. And then also some model-driven app controls are being deprecated and are in retirement. So take a look at the links here. It gives more information on what kind of the controls that are being deprecated, and gives more detail on kind of the different how to handle some of those things in a playbook for what you should do there. Some of the controls are like the flip switch, the calendar control, the linear slider, linear gauge. So if you're using any of those, you want to make sure that you're changing those out for other supported controls. In October, there's some client APIs that are going to be deprecated and retired. That is the client global context .js.aspx page is deprecated, and so if you're using that, you'll want to make sure you have a replacement. I believe that has been announced now for a while, so make sure you're aware of that. And then in November, the OData version 2.0 service will be removed, and the data export service is going to reach end of life. So make sure that you're aware of all those deprecations if you're using any of those, and find the article that's linked there to get more information on those topics. Okay, so next up, let's talk a little bit about the service updates. One of the things we wanted to mention this month was that there is a change in how you can configure your maintenance window settings. This is, I believe this may be still in a preview, but it should be showing up now for production environments. So you can actually choose your maintenance window hours within the Power Platform Admin Center. Previously, there wasn't really a choice here. It was really only in the dark hours or overnight hours in the region. But now you actually have the chance to choose your maintenance window hours here. Again, this is only for production environments. So if you go to look for this and you say you're looking at a sandbox environment, you're not going to see it. So you have to look at your production environments, and this should be available now for all production environments. So you can choose your maintenance window for those environments. A little bit on the release wave updates. Again, as usual, we have 2 release waves per year. The last one was the 2021 release wave 2, and that was all the different changes and releases coming between October of last year and now March of this year. The release wave 1 for 2022 will be coming soon, and there'll be documentation soon on that, but that'll be everything then after that's coming after March, so April through September or October of this year. Keep in mind that there are different release wave updates for Dynamics and also Power Platform. So if you're looking for different features there, they might fall into one of the 2 categories. So make sure you keep an eye on that. There is a separate release schedule that you can look at for visibility on the deployment timeline. So again, there's a link there on the slide. You can also opt in for early access on these release waves. So within the Power Platform Admin Center, these release waves will become available, and you can opt in for early access for certain environments. So you can take a look at that. And then at some point, there'll be a date that'll be set in that release schedule where all these features will become generally available, and a lot of those will get turned on automatically at that time. So you'll definitely want to take a look at the release wave and see kind of what's changing. There'll be a kind of a call out separately for those items that are affecting the UI, things that are turned on automatically, things that have to be, need a manual step. So take a look at all of that. A couple of tips to stay informed on this. There are you can stay informed with the message center notifications for Dynamics and Power Apps, and then also you can configure your email notifications to admins using PowerShell. So a couple links there that you can get. And I think maybe we didn't mention, but these slides are all available on our blog. And you can download all these slides in PDF format, and so you can get all the links there. Okay, this next slide just talks about all the different release wave updates again for Power Platform and the Dynamics 365 apps. Again, these are all separated into different categories. They're separated into Power Apps, the portals, Power Automate, and then the different Dynamics 365 apps. So kind of depending on what interests you or what you're using, you can actually just kind of drill into those specific areas of the release wave update. So again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but there's links there for each individual one. The links in this deck, again, go back to the release wave 2 plan from last year, and like I said, the next release wave 1 for 2022 will be coming out soon. So just watch for that. Okay, so a few specifics on the service updates. Again, I'm not really going to get into a lot of details on all of these, but just kind of wanted to make everyone aware of the different updates here and what's being updated and how you can kind of get more information on those. So the first one is around the Microsoft Dataverse. There's continuous updates that are happening on most of these. On the Dataverse, it's deployed every week. They're deployed in different regions kind of throughout that week. So depending on what region you're in, it'll depend on what version you're on. And so again, you can drill into the latest version available. That last link on the slide to kind of get to see what version is on in your region, and then also what you should be expecting as far as you know, what features are there, or maybe what bugs are fixed, or those kind of things as you go. The Dynamics 365 apps. So the different apps can have a little bit of a different cadence depending on which app you're using. So for the first one there, that sales app, it's typically deployed every 2 weeks. The schedule is published every other Wednesday. So again, you can drill in there to get more information on when those are in the schedule for those releases. The customer service app, updated every Tuesday. Again, that one's based on region. So depending on what region you're in, it'll depend on that'll determine what version you have. And then the field service app, again, you can click in there to get more information on the availability and the different versions of that. For Power Apps and Power Automate, again, kind of similar to the other ones, where not every version is available in every region all at once. Instead, those versions are made available incrementally in different regions across the world. So you can take a look and see which version you have and which version you should have, both for Power Apps and Power Automate. On the Power Automate desktop side, the last version that's available here was the December 2021 update. So version 2.15 was released. You can download the latest version at the link there. There's a number of new features and updates that are available with the Power Automate desktop. And there's each time an update is put out, there's an article on the Power Automate blog that gives all the good details on what's available in that update. So be sure to take a look at that. For Power Apps portals, the latest version there is the 9.4.1.x available. So you can drill in and see what the latest version is there for your specific region. I would definitely suggest, if you're not familiar with that, looking at that link. There are some different articles there about how to upgrade a portal, how to upgrade the portal solution, enable a portal for a new release. A lot of good content there. So if you're managing or adminning a Power App portal, that's definitely something you want to be aware of. On the Power BI side, there's both the Power BI desktop and then the Power BI server or service updates. The latest update for the Power BI desktop was the December update. There's a great video that comes out monthly with those updates that you can take a look at and get more information there. The Power BI desktop is updated and released typically on a monthly basis. There are also new updates and features and service available for the Power BI for the online service. So take a look at that as well. One of those being the goals within Power BI, and that's in a preview stage. So you can look at that further if you're using Power BI, the Power BI online service. For the Dynamics 365 marketing app, Again, the Dynamics 365 apps in general have different service updates, and some have different cadences. For Dynamics 365 marketing, you can find the latest enhancements there at that link. Note that there's no January 22 release for marketing. So the last one was December, and we expect another release there in February. So a few updates in the December release, creating journey branches based on attributes, tracking unsubscribed users in real-time marketing insights, and then manage Microsoft Teams meeting options right from within the marketing app. So some cool features that were just that were introduced in the marketing app here recently. Also, we still have the Dynamics 365 or CRM on-premise application, and so there's some different versions of that. There's the 9.1, the 9.0, and the 8.2 version. The 9.1 version and the 9.0 both continue to have updates made available. The January update is the latest one there. Note that there was not a December update for either of those because of the holidays. And then on the 8.2 side, being that one's out of mainstream support, there's not updates that are coming monthly there anymore. The only updates that might be released would be security type updates. So the last one that was available for 8.2 was in April of last year. And again, there's a good article that you can take a look at to get more information on those. All right, I think that covers the service updates on the CE and Power Apps side. Kenneth, I'll kick it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Yeah, so this first slide for F&O is just a little to-do for those of you that are using the hosted agent build pipeline versus a build executed on build VMs deployed via LCS. So if you're using the hosted agent build pipeline, you just need to be aware that you have to update the agent in your pipeline to use the Windows 2019 image. Since the existing one, the VS 2017 Windows Windows 2016 image, it will be removed in March and is no longer supported. So in the meantime, I think the Azure DevOps team will shut off temporarily a few times the existing image, just so you get those error messages and notifications, and you can do something about it. But just be aware that you need to make that little change, and you can see there on the screenshot where you do that. And just, of course, that all currently supported version of finance and operation can use the new agent Windows 2019 image with Visual Studio 2019. Okay, so go next slide, please. Yep. So this is just a quick note about there's a new feature coming about what's called share product information across legal entity boundaries. I don't have a lot of information about it, so it's more a call out for those of you that are in the supply chain area, because you can see it says cross-company data sharing lets you share released product data among some of or all of your legal entities, and it enables you to manage just one product record and then release and share it with all specified legal entities. And obviously you would say, well, we can already today we can release a product to many legal entities, but it seems that this is a single record, so it's simplified for data maintenance. And once you release it, it's not like today where you release it and then you maintain it in your different legal entities, but you can actually just make the updates in one place, and it should update all the for all the legal entities that this product has been shared with. So I'm looking forward to looking into a little bit more details once we get a little more documentation about this. but it seems to be an interesting feature that you just want to be aware of. So you can see the public preview is supposed to be this month. It hasn't been released yet, the public preview of this month, so it's something to look after for those of you that are interested in this topic. Okay, next slide, please, Ryan. Then we have some specific diagnostic monitoring for e-commerce. So you can see we have this diagnostic tool for specific for e-commerce this time. So it's provide informed support for users as the diagnostic tool. It will help pinpoint when exactly the issue occurred and whether the issues were caused by an extension or whether the issue is widespread or limited to specific e-commerce channels. And you can set up features such as custom alert for specific system health condition, so it will proactive monitor your system using the Microsoft Azure Monitor. So there's a link there, so you can take and go and look at most of the features there. I do want to mention, so it's actually already in GA, so you can find it in feature management. But if you look there on I posted the screenshot there for feature management, it actually says operational insight. That's a feature that you have to look for in feature management. And I believe because the intent is for this diagnostic and monitoring tool to be widespread in the system eventually, not specific to e-commerce. So that's probably why they chose a more generic name. So just be aware of that you have to look for the operational insight in feature management to try this out. Okay, next slide, please. So the next feature here we'll talk a little bit about is the commerce analytics. So again, this is an analytic tool that's specific to commerce, but as you can see, it enables organizations to make informed, data-driven decisions about their business with rich insight from transactional data as well as from behavioral e-commerce user data. So there's some very nice pre-built Power BI views that you can look, and I'll talk a little bit about those on the next slide. So let's go to the next slide just to so you can see a little bit of the key components of the commerce analytics. So I can't point to what I'm doing, but if you look at over to the left side here, you can see you have call center associate, you have the store associate, and then you have your call center application, you have your point of sale data. So that's all transactional data. You even have perhaps some transactional data from your e-commerce store. So that goes directly to your commerce HQ in our F&O environment, and can be going through the commerce scale unit as well, but eventually it ends up in your commerce HQ, where it's being ingested and pre-processed and using the trigger feed being moved into the data lake. So you can see it at first it will just sit there as in the data lake in raw tables. And then some information, as you can now see on the left, you have the C2 shopper there. Some behavioral data, perhaps on how the user on the e-commerce side maneuvers and on the side. Some of that behavioral data can be directly transferred to your data lake without going through the commerce HQ, as you can see. So all that is then being transferred into the raw table format, and from there the commerce analytic will then transform and aggregate it, as you can see on the right hand, and put it into the entity folder and ontology folder, where we would have those aggregate data built that we can then query on. And then the next step there, then you'll see we can use the Azure Synapse, where we have the SQL on demand, so you can do ad hoc T-SQL. You will have SQL views that you can use for that, so you can use T-SQL for any ad hoc data reporting on those data, as well as your visualization tools such as Power BI that can then go and read that data. Whether that's for the store associate or the business analyst that can view that data. Okay, so that's just a little bit of the flow and some of the key components of the commerce analytics. Next slide, please. And I just want to show you. So this is actually, we have actually a live instance out there that you can go out and test. So if you go to that link that you can see up there, we actually have that live instance, so you can go and test it out yourself. But I just want to highlight it's pretty comprehensive. On the left-hand side, you can see these are all the areas that it looks at: sales analysis, margin analysis, return analysis, discount analysis, payment analysis. So it has all these pre-built views that you can go and take a look at and drill down into the information that you have there. So pretty neat and comprehensive view, and it's nice to have this live instant out there, so you can go and test it a little bit by yourself very easily. Okay, so that's the commerce analytics. So next slide, please. And then here, just the last one here, I want to talk about the data lake general availability. It's something that many customers have been waiting for a long time. So we can finally say that it's now in GA. And for those regions that you can see below, right? So United States, Canada, United Kingdom, and so on. So not all countries, but some specific countries there. And then just be aware that it's only available in a tier 2 environment, and you have to install an add-in in Lifecycle Services. There's a Lifecycle Service add-in installation required. And then also just note that it's not the full feature yet. So we have the periodic update enabled, the periodic update transferring data to the data lake, but the trickle feed is still not in GA. It's in preview, so you can use it in preview, but it's not ready for production. So that is still something that's coming in the near future. Okay, so that's good news with the data lake being in GA. We just wanted to highlight that point. All right, next slide, please.
All right, so let's jump into the product update section. And we'll start with the customer engagement apps and Power Platform. Okay, so the first topic here we wanted to make everyone aware of was the Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Teams integration, working together with Context IQ. This is something that's being rolled out. This is a collaborative effort between Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Teams. So you'll start seeing a lot closer capabilities here between the two. You can collaborate seamlessly. You can invite anyone in your organization to view the Dynamics 365 customer records within Teams, meet, chat, and call and collaborate in Dynamics 365. You can bring those related conversations together within Dynamics 365 and increase the audience engagement, during those experiences. So a lot of really cool functionality coming here soon. There's some good articles out there that you can get more information on this. Watch the video. There's a good blog article that talks more about this. And again, this is being rolled out currently, but definitely not available everywhere quite yet. So keep an eye on this one, but we just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of this. And probably on our next update, we'll have more information on this topic and can give some more details. But this is some great functionality that will just definitely allow better communication using Teams specific to Dynamics 365 records. Okay, a new feature on Dynamics 365 marketing, customer performance indicators. So KPIs enable the tracking of customer-centric metrics such as Net Promoter Score, customer satisfaction score, and customer effort score. But still, it ultimately measures benchmarks that's important to the organization rather than the customer. So what this does is really put the focus back on what would be important to the customer rather than important to the organizations that's doing the marketing. So things like rather than measuring, say, product return rate, that's important to the organization. We're measuring things like that are what's the ease of the product return or expense of a product return that would be important to a customer. Or another example would be rather than customer satisfaction score, we'd be measuring in-person customer touches or online chat availability. So really trying to get those metrics from the customer perspective. Rather than the organization perspective, and so some of those things will be coming to Dynamics 365 marketing soon. And again, more information there on the links on the slide. On the Dynamics 365 Customer Insights app, one of the things that we're doing here is taking some of the B2C inspired personalized experiences and putting those on the B2B side of things. So kind of taking that page out of the business to consumer playbook and focusing on really personalized experiences for B2B rather than the kind of that one size fits all approach. And that's using Dynamics 365 Customer Insights, the customer data platform, and really trying to get that 360-degree view of the B2B customer for driving that personalized engagement. So again, take a look there. If you're using Customer Insights, some good features on the B2B coming there. Okay. Mentioned this one before a little bit, the data export service deprecation. This one is around replacing that data export service with the Azure Synapse link for Dataverse. Like I mentioned before, the data export service deprecation is coming later this year, and will reach end of support and end of life in November of 2022. The Azure Synapse link for Dataverse will replace that data export service. And so if you're using data export service, you definitely want to start looking at the Azure Synapse link. If you're not using data export right now, I would still recommend taking a look at this to see how it can help. Allows you to replicate data from the Dataverse to an Azure data lake. And so it can be very helpful in getting the data that you want out of Dynamics and into other systems or integrations or whatever you want to do with that. There's a great playbook that'll guide you through how to set that up, the prereqs, the initialization, the planning, all that good stuff. And then there's also a good fact document for frequently asked questions around the Azure Synapse link for Dataverse. So if, like I mentioned, if you're using data export service, you'll definitely want to be aware of this. By the end of the year, you'll want to move away from that. And even if you're not, I would highly suggest looking at the Azure Synapse link for Dataverse for additional functionality and capabilities. Okay, next topic is around model-driven apps with the new settings solution component, and this one is currently in a public preview right now. So With this one, application authors can enable or disable or configure features in a single model-driven app, and that enables them to deliver customized experiences with each app. The great thing about this is that previously a lot of these settings were at an environment level. So when you enabled a certain setting, it enabled it for all apps in that specific environment. With this new feature, you'll be able to change these settings based on that specific app rather than at the environment level itself. So you'll have a lot more granular control over that. Previously, a lot of people would create a separate, say, preview environment or instance that they would use specifically for a certain setting or a certain component. Now with this, the idea is to move that more at the app level, so you don't have to have that separate environment. You can have all one environment, and then you can change that setting per app and test it out in certain apps if you'd like to do that first, or if it meets your requirements for one app and not the other, you can change those between apps rather than always being kind of forced into changing that at the environment level. So again, look at that, read more. It's in public preview right now, and will be getting rolled out in the future. The next one is around more Power BI integration with model-driven apps. So the ability to visualize data within the model-driven app using Power BI. Again, this one is in a preview right now. You can generate those insights and visualizations right within the model-driven Power App and without losing the context of your work. So you can bring up that visualization right in the app, even right next to the data that you're using to build that. And so you get a lot more visual in the data that can be meaningful to the user. It's pretty easy to implement. You can base it right on a view that you're looking at within the app, and you'll get that Power BI visualization of whatever data you're using there. So take a look at this, and would definitely recommend using this if you're using any kind of model-driven app and starting to add that Power BI visualization into there. The next one is around Power Apps portals and using those portals as mobile apps. So this gives you the ability to use the portal as a progressive web app, and it'll work on all platforms as well as all form factors. So being that it's an app, the user can pin the Power App portal as an app to like a home screen on a mobile device, or even install it from an app store. So once you have your Power App portal configured, you can also configure it then as the progressive web app and use that as an app or a mobile app, on a device. So you can the capabilities you get from this, you can still use that low code, no code branded app, and it just takes a few steps to actually create that, enable it from the product studio, or from the portal studio. This also gives you some basic offline experience in your app kind of out of the box, and then like I mentioned, you can distribute the app either via a browser or through an app store, and it's all part of your existing Power App portal. So some cool new functionality there that would allow a lot more usage on mobile devices and as a mobile app. Another Power Apps portal topic. This one is just support for the Microsoft Dataverse choices column. So this, I believe this is in preview, but it was announced and it's within version 9.3.11.x of the Power App portal. So you can use that choices control on a page to allow for a user to select multiple options from a pre-configured list. And you can obviously design the web page and design that list ahead of time, and then users can select from that pre-configured list. There's also some preview capabilities around if you're a professional developer, you can build customized pages using Liquid Code and Web API services in the portals, where choices columns will now be available to use in Fetch XML and Web API operations. So, so on top of this capability, there's that kind of pro dev support for this as well. On the Power Automate side, one of the new features here is collaborative comments. So if you are working or developing a Power App flow, you can add comments such as like similar look and feel to like your Office documents and that kind of thing, where you can add comments and you can mention your coworker in those comments, and they'll get email notifications on those things. So to direct them back to the Power Automate that you're working on. There's also, we announced previously that, and it was launched, the co-presence feature. So you can actually, you can see with visual indicators who are making changes or editing that current flow. And now with that, you can also do this collaborative comments as well. And you can mention people and you know, allow that to help you to build those different flows and provide this more of that collaborative experience as you're going through and developing these things. Okay, I think that's all on this side. Kenan, I'll shoot it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. So this is just our standard slide we always have up, showing some of the service update availabilities for FNO. And as you can see, the one that we have that is generally available right now is our 10.0.24. That's also the one that's available in PEEP, so we don't have any new version in PEEP. If you go out to look at on your right-hand side, you can see that the 10.0.25 is expected to be available for preview in PEEP on January 31st, so within shortly. And that next version will then be GA in March 18. So there's a little gap here. We don't have any updates for February, as you can see. So that's just an update on the service update availability. And I think we can, and as always, as you can see with service updates, you can you're allowed to be up to 3 versions behind. And if you auto updates set up, it will always use the newest version. All right, next slide, Ryan.
All right, let's go into the Learning Corner section then. The first one we had was really just a case study around how a company transformed their annual salary review process with Microsoft Power Platform. This is a really interesting read. They use Power Platform, and as part of that, they use Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, SQL, and even connected to SharePoint Online. And they took with that new platform, they took a process that took 4 months and then took it down to 2. So it really was a time saver once completed. So it's a good example of how the whole Power Platform can kind of come together and really help benefit customer processes and different things. So I would take a look at that case study on using the Power Platform. The next one is some information around mixed reality controls. And with this, you can visualize products at real size in the context of a physical world. That should, help overall with deals and sales. You can bring that content from anywhere. It's intuitive and has that kind of immersive experience into, a customer space. So there's a great demonstration you can take a look at there on the mixed reality controls and learn more about that as well. And then lastly, just wanted to mention a little bit on the more on the pro dev side, there was a November refresh on the Power Platform developer tools. And this was like the Power Platform CLI command line interface and other great news from the pro dev team. So there's deployment settings support for connection references is now available. And there's other new capabilities to take a look at as well. You can download the standalone CLI, or you can get the Visual Studio Code extension there on that link as well. So take a look at that if you're more on the pro dev side and working at Power Platform. Some nice new features in there in that November refresh. All right, Kenneth, back over to you.
Thank you, Ryan. So this is just our most recent, a little bit from our recent blogs in AX in the field community. So as you can see, Chris here has written a blog about using the Microsoft Authentication Library with D365 Finance and Operation app. So, I mean, for all of you that are interested in developing .NET integration with D365, that should be relevant. Then Ryan has two blogs about first ones where he writes about budget options available in Dynamics 365. So budget register, budget planning, budget control. Ryan is the former PM for budget, so it's a topic that he knows in detail. So that's a great blog. I can tell you to go look at if you're interested. And then the second one he has is about modifying a journal template in D365 FNO as well. So this is about where he goes through how you can modify an Excel template in D365. So really, the example is a journal template, but it's actually relevant, you know, the steps that he shows for any Excel template used in FNO. So it's really goes through in detail some of those steps. So I can definitely recommend that for those of you that are interested in learning how to edit or create new Excel templates in FNO. So yeah, so those are the three blogs that we have for this month. Please go to the next slide, please. Then we have some upcoming finance and operation FastTrack TechTalks. So you can see we have the native analytics for Dynamics 365 Commerce, as we talked about today, and that's, you can see that's actually today that they're presenting that. So you'll be able to look at that on the recorded version later. And then we have some Commerce extension, part 6, migrate Commerce runtime and headless Commerce. And then we have had a few sessions, or still have some few sessions about human resources, functional series. So you can see we have part 3 series now going on with employee development, and part 4 series with managing employee and manager self-service experience. So that's part you should have the recorded versions 1 and 2 already there on your FastTrack webpage, and there's a link, as you can see, that takes you right into the FastTrack TechTalks. Go next slide, please. Yep. And as you can see, these are some of the already recorded FastTrack TechTalks that you can go look at today. And there's one that goes through the export to Azure Data Lake overview. So that's a really interesting one for those of you that are interested in the Data Lake features going forward. And as you can see, we have then the part 2 series of the HR. There should be a part 1 from earlier as well. The part 2 is about request to recruit to hire process. That will take you through that part. Then there's the commerce extensions. That's also a part series, and the one that was added this month is a deep dive on commerce extensions packaging and Azure DevOps build pipeline setup. So that was recorded December 14th. So that was last month recorded FastTrack TechTalks. But as you can see, there's a link that takes you right through and have a look at that. Okay, next page, please.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining the blog that we have where you found this invite to the event has links to the slide that we used for this presentation, and also will soon have a recording of the presentation as well. If you would like to follow us, we have a Twitter handle there, PFE Dynamics, where we would post links to interesting articles, blogs, and whatnot. You can also ask us questions. Thank you so much for joining this session. I put a link to a short survey that you can complete. The survey is completely anonymous. It doesn't take more than a minute to complete. It asks a few questions that will help us ensure that the content is relevant and useful to you, and we are making sure your time is being spent usefully. With that, thank you so much for joining this session. We really appreciate you doing, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.